We're bringing in Senator Roy Blunt, Republican Missouri. Senator, how are you this morning?
Hey, Greg, I'm good. How are you, my friend?
Doing very well. We appreciate having you back on the program. You know, I want to jump off first with the student loan deal. And the House, of course, has passed the deal to keep the rates at 3.4%. A lot of people don't even understand, Senator Blunt. I just want to throw it out to everybody first. This is only going to be for the new loans. People that already have the 3.4% loan, their rate is not going up no matter what. This is for new loans because this was supposed to sunset this year, right?
This is for new loans.
Right.
That's exactly right. And the reason the rate was scheduled to go up is that was part of the Nancy Pelosi plan to take over the student loan industry so there'd be no more private lending for these student loans. And then the profit was going to go to, part of it was going to go to the Obama health care plan. The profit they'd be making from students was going to be taken from people who were trying to pay back student loans and going to subsidize the Obama health care plan. And their own trickery sort of caught up with them, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So they were going to try to use that to make it look like Obamacare wasn't as expensive as it was and do it once again on the back of young people, just like a lot of their premiums in this health insurance stuff will do too, because the young people are more healthy, but they're going to end up paying more than they normally would, subsidizing the older people. So it really gets complicated. But the House passed a bill that said, all right, we'll keep it low, but we're going to pay for it with this Obamacare slush fund that he's got out there. And the Senate has said no to that under Harry Reid, and Obama said he will veto this. So you guys had a vote. How would you have paid for it in your bill?
Well, the bill that I co-sponsored with Lamar Alexander from Tennessee, a former Secretary of Education, would have paid for it by just taking the $6 billion from the slush fund that it had gone into. And you said that so well, Greg. It was all part of this effort to make it somehow look like the Obama health care plan was going to make money for the government rather than cost money. You know, they had this other big plan called the Class Act, where people would pay into a long-term care system for 10 years, but nobody would draw any money out for 10 years.
Right.
And so all that was considered income. Even Kathleen Sebelius said, as we did when we were debating this bill, as I and others said, this won't work. This plan won't work. She said it won't work, so they're not even collecting the Class Act money. Now they're not going to be putting the student loan money into the Obama health care plan. And it was just one magic trick after another to try to make it look like the president's health care plan wasn't going to cost the American people a lot of money. And one of the tricks was to make students pay, instead of paying back what their student loans would have cost the government, paying enough back that would become an income source for the Obama health care plan. And we said, let's take the money from where you put it and cut this rate back to 3.4%
right.
For this year's loans. And you had that exactly right as well. It's not a loan that somebody in your family already has. This is a loan that they'd be getting for this year to be paid back at some future time.
Right. So, and even though Obama said in his 2013 budget he was going to use that slush fund for that now the Democrats say that means you guys hate women because some of that money was designed for some health care for women, although not the majority of it, and a lot of it hadn't even been used because they have other health projects for that, and it gets really complicated. But the one you guys voted on yesterday that did not survive the filibuster, correct me if I'm wrong, the Senate Democrats said they wanted to raise taxes on small businesses to pay for it.
That's what small businesses certainly thought, and 37 different groups, business groups, the roofing contractors, the restaurant association, the small business groups, all opposed that bill. But Senator Reid never expected that bill to pass. That was all just this week's effort by the Senate to get focused on the campaign rather than to get focused on the work that needs to be done. And we're going to have one of these every week between now and November. And, people like me just need to do the right thing, and the people we work for need to understand what the game is here. And the game, again, is every week to come up with some new political vote that nobody would ever expect would become law, but it'll be Republicans, including Mitt Romney, don't like women, they don't like students, they don't like minorities, they don't like men, they don't like teachers, they don't like firefighters. This list will go on, but I think the American people are going to figure this out, and I'm going to do the right thing.
Well, here's and I appreciate that. I want to move on to a couple of things because we don't have a lot of time. The United States Postal Service has problems. There was an interesting piece yesterday, Fox News, talking about how the USPS is losing up to $25 million a day, and the Postmaster General there says he needs to change the business model. He needs to close more than half of the mail processing centers, eliminate about 28,000 jobs, end overnight delivery first-class mail, close about 3,700 local post office, and even get rid of Saturday delivery. And that sounds like a lot, but, man, they've got to do something. The problem is, Senator Blunt, both the House and the Senate are trying to stop him from doing what he needs to save this, and it looks like, from a Senate vote, that we would be on the hook and give them $34 billion in a bailout. Where do you stand on this?
Well, the post office is actually, it's in the Constitution. It's one of the things that, particularly in rural America, it's highly unlikely that any private sector group would do. You could get probably some private sector group to deliver the mail in Kansas City, but you probably couldn't get them to deliver the mail to Skidmore or maybe even Butler, or I don't know where you'd stop. This would stop being profitable, but it would stop. The real problems in the post office are more in the and the ongoing retirement challenges that they have, and they have way too many workers, and the postmaster, the guy who runs the post office, will say they have too many workers, but he doesn't know how to do anything about that. And they have a system where once you get on workers' compensation, even when you retire, you still stay on workman's compensation as if you might go back to work at any day once you're over your injury, and your workman's compensation pay is more than your retirement pay. So sure, there are 6 people in the postal system who are over 100 who still get workers' compensation rather than retirement, because if they get well, they'll report back to work tomorrow. It's a badly run system, and closing little post offices instead of, what we did was put some, Senator Bennett from Colorado and I put some ability to say, look at these post offices, see if they have to be open. You give them more flexibility to be open a couple of hours in the morning or a couple in the afternoon. A lot of times the little post office is the last thing left that really makes a community, and it's not where the real money is. The post office still has lots of vacant buildings that they've already closed that they still impair all the cost for. A little building that doesn't cost anything to rent to speak of in some small Missouri community, maybe the answer is to have that postal service 4 hours a day instead of 10 hours a day.
Well, when I look at somebody like the Postmaster General, who's done a ton of research on this, looked over to Europe to see how they've done it because they privatized, and you're telling me that you can't still have rural mail delivery without having all of these rural post offices open, that they can't have a little sliver of a convenience store that's in that town like they've done in so many other places, and that they can't lay off 28,000 people that they say they need to do, and they can't go to Saturday mail, get rid of the Saturday mail delivery. It's a broken model, and we can't prop up union jobs, and we can't try to buy votes in the rural community by keeping things that really we don't need. I mean, I know that it sounds good.
Actually, your idea was part of the amendment that we put in of let's go back to looking at another location where you could have a little counter in the store somewhere that becomes the post office for that town. There are lots of things you can do here that will make this system work better. It's got too many employees, the locations that are open too many hours,
well, we're going to be on the hook for $34 billion.
General is the guy who negotiated these contracts that don't make sense for taxpayers, and people who are trying to pay the bill.
Gotcha. Senator Blunt, last thing I wanted to ask you is the Senate Ethics Committee going to say anything about Senator Claire McCaskill soliciting donations from the federal Senate building?
Well, I'm not on the Ethics Committee. I would expect if you did that, somebody would at least say stop doing that.
She was on MSNBC. She was on MSNBC, and she solicited donations, and it was in the news a couple days, and that's it. And it's just, regular people like us are saying, wait a second, there's a law against this. It's unethical, and nothing happens. And so we say, well, we need our senators to do something about it.
There is a law against it. I don't know what Senator McCaskill has said about it. Of all the things to talk about in the campaign, though, I think the president's health care bill, energy policy, there are lots of big issues that voters can make this decision on. If she said she's sorry that she said that, you could say anything accidentally one time. I'm not trying to apologize for Claire, but I think the Missouri seat is likely to be the seat that determines who's in the majority in the Senate, and it will be a very different majority if Harry Reid is not in control.
All right, well, we appreciate the time. We'd love to have you back to talk some more. Anytime.
Hey, love to be with you, Greg. Thank you, buddy.
All right, you have a great one.